I'm really excited this week to have my first guest on my podcast. This is a big step for me and I'm really excited about it. Unfortunately, in my excitement to talk with my beautiful guest about the experience of not being ready, or never being ready, or trying to be ready, I actually managed to do an entire podcast with her without actually turning on record. I wasn't going to say this, and so we actually repeated the podcast. She was a great sport about it. We repeated the podcast, and obviously different things came out because it's organic, but it was great both times. And I wasn't going to say this because I was thinking, oh, what an idiot I was. But I think it kind of applies to the theme, actually. The theme of never being ready or waiting to be ready. You know, I wasn't ready. I didn't feel ready, and I became ready in the doing. And so I think that's a really important part of anything, is that actually it's when you step into it that you start to become ready for it. So hi everybody, and welcome to the first live edition of Stories of Self with a guest. So I'm really excited today. Here on Stories of Self, we're going into journeys of the lives of ourselves and others. We're seeing how our stories connect and how they diverge and how we can create our worlds and solve our problems. So this is the real life remix of storytelling, and it's so often stranger than fiction. So come and chill with us today as we chat to Talia Pamensky. And Talia is a fantastic person who has a wonderful podcast called Wisdom Within that really helps people reconnect with the wisdom that they truly have within themselves already and to find that wisdom again. Talia finished her degree in University of Cambridge in theology, religion and philosophy, and she's got so much wisdom to bring to life. So welcome, Talia. Thanks for joining us here today. I'm really excited to have you here.
It's an honor to be here with you.
Beautiful, beautiful. So I thought today we would chat about the illusion of not being ready and about what it takes to be ready. So many people find they're not ready for things, or they're waiting to be ready. Do you feel like you're one of those people?
Well, I think this is a very important subject because I think so much of the time the things that are holding us all back is ourselves, and this idea that things need to be perfect, or that there is a perfect time to start anything or take that next step, when in reality you are going to have to do things when they're not perfect, and just doing them is more effective than being in that procrastination and waiting.
Absolutely, I completely agree with you. It's very difficult. I'm one of those people that ends up in that perpetual waiting stage. So I really feel for people who find themselves there, because I'm always saying, oh, I'm not quite ready, or maybe next month I'll be ready. And I think that it's definitely led by fear, and rather it would be great to be able to just jump into that chosen change, which I'm finding ability to now, which I couldn't in the past. So do you feel like you're that person who's able to move forwards, or without always waiting to be ready?
I think I've just come to a place of acceptance of imperfection, and so I'm able to take action in that space of imperfection. And equally, there are still areas where I am not fully taking action, so I wouldn't say that I'm amazing at always taking action, but I think now I'm in this space of like fear means go, as opposed to allowing fear to stop me from taking action. But also it's like learning to also trust in the timing. Like, it's never going to be the time to do everything all at once, and so you do need discernment. Like, just because you don't take action doesn't mean you're in procrastination.
It's true. And how do you find when it's that time to go? what kind of feeling do you get when you know it's time to go, or you feel it's time to go?
I think it's about developing a relationship with yourself and the universe. So if you look at your human design, which is a tool that I use, it kind of tells you where to make your decisions from and how to like relate to the universe. So for me, like, I'm meant to respond, meaning that like if I'm meant to do something, I will be responding to my environment. So I will receive messages from the universe, from around me, to say if I'm meant to call someone, like, or do something else, like it will become obvious if I'm really listening and looking out for those signs. And also it's from my sacral, so listening to my gut on things in that sacral area. So I think it's just about knowing what voices are telling me what to do, what are the signs. Like it's multiple things, and I think you kind of learn by trial and error and doing, but I think most of the time, like, you never regret taking action because it's always guiding you to the next thing. And so if you hadn't have done it, then a whole series of events would be entirely different. So
that's very true. Yeah, that's really, very true. I think a lot of people are a bit scared, though, to take action. And I was one of those people for a long time. And I would find that I had these kind of indications to do something or move forwards, that when I looked back, I could retrospectively go, oh yeah, I can see that. But at the time I was like, oh, maybe I'll wait for something clearer or something else. Or, it's very difficult, I think, sometimes for people to listen to that kind of inner voice that actually helps us to determine something that's not 100% clear.
Yeah.
How do you find you connect with that?
Yeah, it's been a huge struggle for me. Like, I used to be super indecisive and just super unsure of everything, and just always asking other people what I should do. So this is my wisdom within journey, is actually learning to listen to you, and what that really means is getting attuned and getting closer to what other voices that are playing out. Is it my higher self? Is it my smaller self? Is this my intuition? And that takes a lot of time and a lot of space in your life to listen, to learn to listen, because so often there's so much noise and so much chaos and so many other voices at play that, like, it might even be your mum's voice in your head, do you know what I mean? So it's like getting really clear and still and taking the time to get to know yourself.
I think that's really important, very important. And I think a lot of people don't really take that time. They see that as an extra thing to do in life, maybe, rather than something that's essential. But actually, it is kind of essential. And we do have, as you said, all those different kind of elements going on inside us, all those different voices. And sometimes I find really the loudest voice is usually the ego, or the kind of critical self that's trying to keep me safe, which makes sense. But that kind of soul calling, what I really want to do, who I really want to be, who I really am, is actually a much quieter voice. It's much calmer. And so it can get overshadowed by other things very easily if we don't learn to listen.
Yeah, I think it's just about deciding, like, am I living my life for myself, or am I living my life from a place of fear? Like, how badly do you want the things you want? Like, how big is your dreams? How big is your purpose? How big is your mission? And if that's bigger than any other thing, then you will take that action. And if it's not, then that's also okay, like, there's a season for everything. Right now, I'm in a season that's a lot more integration and a lot more, I guess, safe in some ways. And I know that that's not forever either. I think it's about giving yourself what you need, and I think particularly for people who've been stuck for a long time, like, that's when you really need to take action. So I think it's just about prioritizing your relationship with yourself, even if it's opposite to what you've been taught, and also getting real about, like, what is the voice I've been listening to for a long time, and knowing that it takes a lot of time to heighten up other voices, because if you've been used to listening and acting from one place, you're not automatically going to start making all your decisions from another place, and each voice has its place.
That's very true. I love what you said about there being different seasons in life and allowing ourselves to be where we are, but then also not getting stuck there.
Yeah.
So it's that balance that we're all trying to strike that can be a little bit difficult, because obviously if we're in fear, we might, if we're coming from a place of fear and living from a place of fear, we might hesitate to act and rather stay in a comfort zone. But there is also time needed to be comfortable and safe and relaxed and integrating. So, yeah, you're very right. There's time for all of those things in life. It's knowing which one is coming up that's the key, maybe.
Yeah, and I think if a lot of people are actually being real with themselves, like, they'll have a niggling voice that they're trying to, like, not listen to, but a lot of the times, like, if something's really wanting to be birthed out of you, and if your trajectory is really meant to turn another way, you will have a voice that's telling you that.
Do you have some tricks for finding that voice in yourself when you're not quite sure what you're doing and or what to do next? Do you have some things that you do that maybe people can try?
Yeah, I think journaling can be powerful, because sometimes, like, especially if you get quite free with your writing, like, don't have an expectation of what's going to come through. Like, sometimes your higher self will come through because it's a space where, like, no one's going to read it, no one's watching, so really, like, you can get in touch with new parts of yourself. I think time in nature is always powerful. I think time alone is really powerful, and even if that feels hard, it really just shows you and teaches you to sit with everything that is and get clarity on what's going on in your internal world.
And we can try to hide from that as well. We can try to hide from ourselves.
Yeah, hiring a coach as well. Someone that you can really, like, trust and talk to, and someone who, like, holds that higher vision for you. Because I think so often when we're in a space of fear, we surround ourselves with people who, like, confirm that fear or live in the same energy as you. And so kind of just getting curious about finding a different way of living will open up.
That's a really big bias in science, actually, is people look to confirm themselves. So it's a bias we really look to in science and we look to avoid. So actually it's really interesting because you're bringing that into life and saying that in life we're actually also looking to confirm what we already think. But that sometimes really, really holds us back. So maybe somebody new in our lives or somebody we're not so close to or don't spend so much time with can see those things that someone closer just focuses on safety rather than expansion, maybe.
Yeah, and, like, expanding can be scary because it's something new and it's something that, like, might not feel safe. So, like, your nervous system, your body, like, everything is going to be responding to that. And I think having someone who's done what you want to do or really, like, deeply cares and, like, wants to hold you through that process can be so supportive. Because I think being kind to yourself throughout that process can be really hard when you're used to being very critical of yourself.
Yeah, being kind of conscious of feeling fearful or restrictive and kind of allowing that to be as it is and looking within yourself and noticing it but not necessarily letting it lead, looking for, as you say, that inner wisdom, that extra kind of element of you that might have something to say about the situation. And there is that survival instinct, of course, of doing anything that we've never done before. We get fearful about because it's not proven that we can do it or we can survive it. So we've got this natural fear that comes in there as well.
Exactly. And as I said before, just training yourself to be like, fear means go. I mean, I think for that reason people do like ice baths and cold showers and just like getting their body acclimatized to being uncomfortable. And I think, yeah, just training yourself to be like making that association that, like, just because I'm scared doesn't mean I shouldn't do it.
Yeah, that's really interesting. So tolerance, being able to tolerate those things and being able to make a chosen action around those things that aren't particularly comfortable, that can really help you to move into chosen change without fear and without hanging back, without hesitancy and without procrastination. So yeah, that's very true. So things like ice baths and things like just getting out of your comfort zone in small ways on a regular basis, you're right, can really, really help. That's a good tip.
Yeah. And I also just think, like, stepping into the arena, like, picturing yourself stepping into that arena and knowing that, like, putting yourself out there is scary, but equally, like, if you really want to play in this game of life and you really want to realize your potential, like, just become all that you are, like, that is going to take shedding of old layers, and change is a natural thing, and that actually, like, yes, higher risks and higher stakes is more fear, but it's also, like, the potential for higher reward.
Yeah, we get focused on goals, don't we? We get really focused on getting to certain goals, and if we don't get to them, we feel like maybe that's not safe or we're not worthy. But the truth is that we're actually intrinsically worthy as who we are, whether we are achieving or not, whether we're doing or not, whatever point we're at in life. So actually, and those goalposts will obviously shift as well. Once we get there, we immediately move them further away again and start aiming for something else. So taking that time to celebrate and be with those things that we've managed and achieved is really beautiful as well, I find. Yeah.
I completely agree. Like, just finding things to celebrate every day. Yeah, even just reflecting each day on, like, the good things that happened, because we're so critical. Like, no matter how much work you do, that part of your mind will still be there, and every day it's a choice of, like, what voice am I going to listen to? Am I going to focus on the positive things and create more of that?
Gratitude, yeah, the gratitude thing every day really, really does help, because there are always so many things to be grateful for. And we look past the small things and we look past the things that are going well to see the things that aren't going well, and we focus on those. But the thing is, actually, when we look around us, there are so many more good people who are interested to be around us and happy, and than there are bad people. So, yeah, we can try to move past that hyperfixation on the negative. That's a really good tip. Wow, awesome, Talia. Well, thank you for joining us today. You've had such good things to explain to us and to tell us, and some good tips to try there with the journaling and the gratitude and the ice baths and things like that. So thank you so much for joining us. It's been a delight, a joy to talk to you today.
Thank you for having me.
We are all telling our stories, and we are all telling ourselves stories about it all. Are you brave enough to walk with me into hearing, considering, and understanding the stories we tell? Join me next time, where we'll be considering more stories and illusions and stepping into creating the freedom we desire. Every moment, we are who we are choosing to be. You choose. Choose you. Because your story matters.